Hey everybody, Shibby here. I'm an esports color caster and celestial ranked player in Marvel Rivals. And today we are going to be reacting to some interesting Marvel Rivals community takes. We've got takes from Twitter, Reddit, and even my own personal TikTok comment section. Before we get into this, I do want to preface this by saying do not send any hate towards anyone featured in this video. The Marvel Rivals community is one of the largest growing communities in the gaming space at the moment. There are a ton of different opinions on a ton of different topics. I just personally think it's really interesting to see where everybody's at and getting a pulse on all these different topics. At the end of the day, these are all jokes and banter. It's all to facilitate discussion. So with that being said, I don't want to keep you guys waiting any longer. So let's get into it. Our first take is an interesting one, and it looks like it's a support player. Cloak and Dagger ultimate needs a buff, like make it stackable or give it more time because 8 seconds is not enough. And that MF Bucky needs to be put down. So there's two in one, right? Two takes in one. The first one, very interesting because Cloak and Dagger, obviously you guys know, got nerfed this season. And rightfully so. They had one of the fastest stacking ultimates in the game. They still have one of the fastest stacking ultimates in the game. Now, I believe Mantis and Rocket Raccoon's ultimate charge cost is technically, like by charge cost, is actually lower. But still, Cloak and Dagger builds their ultimate very, very quickly. I think the nerfs were needed. I think stacking it was kind of crazy. I think you can let it stack if they reverted it back to 3 charges. But the fact that you have 4 charges and you can kind of like cover a whole perimeter and cover an area, I think it's fine. I don't think Cloak and Dagger ultimate should be one that can like massively heal in the same vein as like Luna Snow or Invisible Woman or anything like that because of how frequently and how easy and fast she's able to build it, or they are able to build it, right? Both Cloak and Dagger. Also, the kit for Cloak and Dagger is the most overloaded out of all the supports. So them having a weaker ultimate in exchange, I think is fair. You essentially get 2 characters for the price of 1, and you get so much utility, right? You have the ability to debuff and make people vulnerable, right? They take more damage. You can increase the amount of healing your team receives. You also get like a bubble if you're playing Dagger that like heals you and heals people inside of it. You also have you have 2 auto aim abilities, right? With both Cloak and Dagger. And on Cloak, you get to make your team like invulnerable or intangible, which can block out a lot of ultimates. I think having like, I just told you their whole kit, and you understand like nobody in the support cast for Marvel Rivals has anything close to that. So yeah, I think their ultimate should be nerfed. I think their ultimate is in a good spot right now. That character is more fair. It's not easy mode. It's not as brain dead, some would say, but it actually, you have to kind of be smart about it, and you have to use the other parts of your kit. You can't just like heal, build ultimate, press it, heal, build ultimate. Because a lot of the time what would happen is you'd get 2 to 3 ultimates every time. There would be like 1 or 2 big ultimates from the enemy team. So yeah, I think Cloak and Dagger nerfs, very well received. I think she's in a fine spot. I just think the fact that they are not broken is what makes people really mad here. The second part of this, we'll talk about it a little later, but I 100% agree. I think Winter Soldier is disgustingly broken. He's another person with a pretty overloaded kit in my mind. That's kind of what you'll tend to notice in Marvel Rivals with some of these characters that need buffs or need nerfs. They either have very unappealing or like lackluster kits, or the kits are like massively overloaded. All right, this take comes from Reddit, and this person says, any reason why this guy's ult takes 5 business days to perform, doesn't full heal, and can be interrupted while 4 out of 5 support ults make you invincible to nearly every ult. That's fair. I think I would say Luna Snow, Invisible Woman, and Mantis ultimate kind of make you invincible, let's call it. But there is a very good reason why Adam Warlock, his ultimate doesn't fully heal you after it reses, because we've learned our lessons. And I can tell there are a lot of people that are coming to Marvel Rivals that have not played Overwatch, and a lot of people that have played Marvel Rivals that haven't played old Overwatch. In Overwatch, there's a character called Mercy. I'm sure people are familiar with it, even if they haven't played it. The first iteration of Mercy, she was able to do a team-wide res. She would be able to fly in on dead teammates because her ability, Guardian Angel, allowed her to fly to living or dead teammates. And what would happen is there would be a number that would pop up when you have your ultimate. And it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And based on that number, that's how many of your teammates would get rezzed, right? So if you were within a certain radius or circle and the number 5 popped up, you pressed your ultimate, all 5 members of your team would res. And it's like, in theory, that's a cool ability. It's very broken, but it's very cool. But what would happen is it would create these like really toxic gameplay cycles of like, okay, guys, if this team has a Mercy and the other team has a Mercy, we have to kill their Mercy first. We have to find their Mercy, because a lot of the time what would happen is a team would dry push, or they would like use 1-2 of their ultimates. The other team would counter like 3-4 team wipe ultimates, like Reaper ultimate, like a big AoE ultimate. They would combine a bunch of stuff. Mercy would hide somewhere in the map. She would fly in after the ultimates have been settled and after your team has been wiped and completely res your whole team instantly with full health. And then it'd be like, well, all that work that the other team put in has been completely negated. And then vice versa. And you get these toxic gameplay patterns. So that's why this guy's ultimate doesn't completely heal everybody to full when they get rezzed. Like, it is very, very intentional. We have learned our lessons. It is not a fun gameplay cycle. I promise you, it'll be cool for the Adam Warlock players, but everybody else will hate it. I can guarantee that. Plus, he does, I mean, even if you do ult, you have the ability to like keep your team alive with like Soul Bond plus the 2 heal charges. It's not impossible. You just have to be more tactical about it. Maybe the ult cast time does need to be changed. I don't even necessarily disagree with that. But yeah, we are not rezzing people to full. Multi-man, full team heal rezzes. That is, please never have that in the game. If you've been at least paying attention to the community and stuff like that, there have been a lot of people that were like very much asking for a Storm skin, right? February is Black History Month. There's a lot of stuff going on. Like, I think it would have been appropriate. Like, I don't disagree. Now that we have this Storm skin, a lot of those same people are complaining about it. And I think it's a really good skin, right? Goddess of Thunder, like this skin looks very, very well made. There's particles, right, coming around depending on what abilities you use. Clearly, there's an emote I saw just right there. Like, this is a good skin. I think the color wave is really nice. It's very different, right? Blue and white, to mimic some stuff like about the sky and how she controls weather and all that stuff. Like, this is a very good skin in terms of like coloring. I think particle effects, everything like that. I think I don't know what these Storm players or people that wanted a Storm skin would want out of this. Like, are they asking for maybe like a Hellfire Gala suit? Are they asking for something like being pulled from a different comic? Because a lot of these skins are pulled from comic book adaptations or like when they first appeared from comics, right? I think this is a really good skin. I think they did a really good job with her hair and the color wave. I like that she has like this battle armor kind of thing. Like, they kept that from with Storm, but it's it has a little bit more like swagger to it, like the pop collar, the badge here. There's like, you know, some sort of like shoulder plating, if not like it's bigger shoulder holes, all that stuff. Yeah, I think it's a really good skin. I can't. The people that wanted the Storm skin have gotten the Storm skin and now they're complaining because it's not what they imagined. I don't know. I feel like this is a really good skin. I feel like Marvel Rivals really cooked with this one. We've got another post that got a ton of views, ton of likes and stuff in Marvel Rivals. It's a bit of a long one, but essentially this guy goes, I banned my teammate's hero and I'm glad I did. And his reasoning was that in the prior game, there was a person on the enemy team, right? He said, there I was playing ranked, having a pretty good time. For some reason, my team lost 4 DPSs. But who knows? Maybe we'll win. We don't. Not even close. The Spider-Man on the other team is flaming us in chat, but it's okay. Sometimes games just don't go well. I take the loss and go next. Very good. But my foolish greed for more rank points led me to try to instant queue. Yeah, I mean, I've been there, done that. Now the Spider-Man was on my team. So the Spider-Man that flamed them last game. But during the ban screen, he begins to flame me and make fun of me for losing that game. Hey, I think I don't know. If it depends on how harsh the flame was. If it's banter, it's banter. I think you could just kind of take that L on the chest. He banned Spider-Man, though. It was a 20% chance he banned his Spider-Man. Lo and behold, it goes through. Spider-Man's banned. His serotonin level skyrocket. He's like, I'm hard stuck GM. We ended up winning, but I'm hard stuck GM. Maybe my time will come. Maybe that single moment, that was the highlight of me. What do you guys think that I should have done? What do you guys think? Should I have quit for the day after the first game? Okay, bunch of different things in this one. Don't ban your teammates' heroes. If they're hovering, don't ban it. I think if you care about winning, if you care about climbing, banning your own team's characters reduces your chances of winning flat out, right? Even if they do play other characters, if they're feeling themselves or if they're even a one trick, if you're trying to do that just to be petty because you lost to them, you are your own worst enemy. You are the reason you're not climbing. A. B, should this guy have queued up again after that game? I think it's fine. I think it depends. Like sometimes if I have like 3 really bad games in a row where like either I do bad or I get some really bad teammates, I might just like put it away and queue up again later that night or later that day, like much later on. But if I'm also like winning, like, you know, if I'm on a good streak or we have some like banger games, it just depends. I think it's good to walk away if you lose a lot because you're always going to be chasing that win. And then like, you'll kind of lose sight of a lot of like how you want to play the game and stuff like that. I don't think rage queuing, I think anyone will tell you rage queuing is not the move. And like either hop on a different account, practice a different character, play some quick play, whatever. But yeah, if you have like 3 bad losses in a row, that's kind of like my limit, 3 or 4, right? If it's really, really bad. And yeah, just don't ban your team's heroes, man. Like, don't do that. You are effectively reducing your chance of winning because they're going to get mad. You may not get anything out of it. And you might actually have to work harder to win that game because you put your team or you put your teammate on something that they may not be as good as. Bucky is a valid ban, and I don't see why some people are surprised. He has an extremely inflated kit. That's what I talked about. Overloaded is the word I use. For being a 275 hero with armor on all abilities, CC, and an ult that lasts way too long between intervals of a reset. Not to mention bowling balls for projectiles that crit when you hit a body shot sometimes. Yeah, Bucky is insane. I think the fact that he gets armor on all of his abilities just for activating them. The thing is, I think the way I look at Bucky, like he's just insanely overloaded. And I talked about this in another video, like a short or a TikTok I did. He just can fit in almost any composition. Anti-dive, brawl, poke. I even see him sometimes just picked, even if your team is running dive, because of like, you can just play him closer range, right? And the ability to pick people off. He's got a hook that hooks people in, that displaces not just one, but can displace multiple people. He gets armor on all of his abilities, like this guy said. And I don't even think the fact that he's gated by like 3 bullets on his gun. I mean, if you cycle his abilities, technically you don't ever have to reload. Like you do eventually, but like technically you can go like a good 10, maybe 15 seconds without reloading, depending on how you cycle his abilities. I mean, the fact that he gets armor, his ultimate as well should be capped to maybe like just 6 or 5 people. I think after you kill 6 people, you shouldn't be allowed to ult anymore, especially because you can ult off of Loki clones and stuff like that. So now it's like, what you'll see a lot of people do is if there's a Loki and then there's an enemy Bucky, this guy's just going to ult on your clones because he knows, right? It's free. Now it'll kind of give like a little bit of an outplay potential for the Loki. Like, haha, you wasted your ult charge on my clone. You can only kill maybe 4 or 5 people or 3 people, whatever. Yeah, kit is insanely overloaded. Winter Soldier Bucky needs a nerf. And I think Marvel Rival devs have been pretty good about nerfing characters that people are complaining about, that they very clearly see overloaded. See Storm from season 0 to season 1, and then season 1 to 1.5. She went from really bad state to like pretty OP, mostly picked, and now she's like in a more stable spot. I wanted to take a look at my TikTok comment section as well. So recently I made a video saying like why support ultimates aren't unique, right? I made a long form video, and then I made a short form video about it. I wanted to go into my comment sections because it was pretty funny. This video ended up blowing up a little bit. I think it has like over 10,000 views, 57 comments. So, you know, it's going to be fun in there. So first big one, Psylocke ultimate and team wipe in the same sentence. Okay. So Psylocke, I replied, I said Psylocke ult pretty much guarantees 2 kills if you aren't using a defensive ult or grouping 4+. Very few ults in the game actually mean team wipe fully. Yeah, I think there's very few ultimates in the game that can actually team wipe. I think this dude knew what I meant, but he was just kind of playing semantics. And then everybody just started dogging on him, right? Not a team wipe, but a good Psylocke ultimate will like at least get 2. Agreed. Fully flips the fight. No, they don't get 1 if they're lucky. Like, then everyone is gone. I don't know how to play her. Yeah. Yeah, good Psylocke. So, yeah, when I'm talking about, like, why you need these kinds of ultimates, yeah, Psylocke ultimate is a game-defining or fight-defining ultimate that you need to be aware of and then you need to ult for. Is it team wiping? No. I think if you group up more than 3, or I think 4 is the number, then she actually won't kill anybody. But like, she's almost always ulting like 1 or 2 people, 3 backline. If not, it's really good damage. Like, you have to respond with an ultimate. So, I mean, that's just like, and it's so widely accepted too, right? This guy had like 128 likes. I'm just very surprised. This is an interesting, see how he goes. If DPS ults are so broken that they necessitate pause buttons on half the support roster, maybe DPS ults should be looked at instead of slapping this band-aid fix on it. I was like, yeah, that's a solid point. Maybe the design of support ultimates or DPS ultimates are pretty bad, but I think you can create similar ultimates while giving characters unique identities, and that's what Marvel Rivals is trying to do. You cannot just be unique based off of your ultimate ability. Like, you are going to have some overlap on what they do and how they function, and I talk about it in that video. Like, you have your own uniqueness in your kit, and the fact that these ultimates are very similar doesn't make it necessarily bad, especially when there are ultimates in the game for DPS or even some tanks that are just a different flavor of like CC or a different flavor of damage. All right. I'm going to end with a spicy one here. Can we stop pretending playing support in Marvel Rivals requires skill? Just right on the table. That's crazy. This guy's disciple of Necros, I guess, or I don't know. I will say this. It does require skill. Fundamentally, all these roles require skill. I think what support players kind of need to realize is that their threshold on playing the game is much lower than like DPS and tank. And I think the guy in the comments says, as a support player, it takes skill, but a majority of it is game sense, positioning, and ability time, which is what every role requires. I agree. People think it's hard because these things matter way more when you're one or two of the players you can heal. But mechanically, it's the lowest skill floor by far. Yeah, mechanically it is 1,000%. You can't even make that argument. But like all of these things that this person highlights, like a game sense, positioning, all this stuff, you have to do that on top of battling directly out with your counterparts. So what do I mean by this? Rarely are supports fighting each other, right? Like think about it. Supports don't fight each other. Two invisible women aren't going to be going at it in front of each other. And they're not going to be like trying to time each other's abilities and stuff like that. Like realistically, the most you're doing is like maybe trying to wait out their ultimate, or you are trying to use your ultimate a couple seconds after theirs so you can get better ultimate timing. Now, you do have certain characters that can definitely counter characters, right? Invisible Woman into Doctor Strange is a very good example. Your telekinetic push can completely deny Doctor Strange's ultimate. Like there are some mechanics, there are some outplay potential. But when it comes to like DPS and tanks, you are almost always directly kind of fighting your counterparts. You are going against them. It is a battle, not just of your mechanics and your skills and everything like that, but you also have to understand what that player is doing. You have to bait him into situations. You have to kind of like read him, pretend. Like you got to do all this stuff. Two tanks going at it, fighting for space, playing around space and doing all this stuff. It's like a battle, right? It's a tug of war. Don't get me started on DPS 1v1s, and like depending on how those go really does determine how your team can either win the game or lose the game, right? DPS have an insane amount of responsibility and burden on their shoulders to play mechanically well, to, you know, kill either their counterpart or do more than their counterparts are doing. It isn't to say that support is like a non-skillful role, but for you to say that you have the same amount of workload, the same amount of responsibilities as a tank or DPS player, I mean, it's just delusional. I think the fact that support is such an open and inviting role is good. That is a good thing fundamentally, but you cannot be delusional and say that like my role is the hardest or my role is harder than DPS and tank. Because if it was, then a lot of people wouldn't be playing it. Like fundamentally, that's why tank is like one of the least played classes in the game, because it's the least rewarding and it requires the most, I would argue, like skill in regards to game sense and positioning and like how reliant it is on other roles and stuff like that. Like DPS is played because everybody wants to be a SAR and everybody wants to, you know, be the carry, but not everybody can, right? Like for you to play consistently, you would have to be like a Celestial Grandmaster top 500 player, right? One above all. Like a lot of DPS players aren't consistent, which is why they're really low ranked. And a lot of support players can't climb on other roles because of the extra burden, the extra responsibility you have in tank and DPS. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I'm going to tell you something you've heard a million times before. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications on my latest uploads. I try and respond to every single comment in my video because I genuinely do appreciate everyone that takes the time out of their busy schedules to leave one, and I love interacting with my community. If you want to catch more longer form content, I stream over on Twitch about 3 to 4 times a week, where you'll get unedited versions of these videos, as well as we talk about roster moves, patch changes, as well as gameplay over there. If you care about the short form side, I post pretty frequently on YouTube Shorts and TikTok, where you'll get more condensed version of this content, as well as highlights from my stream, amongst other things. I'm also on Twitter, and all of this will be in the description box below, as well as a pop-up that will form on the right side where you can catch me on all the different platforms. I genuinely appreciate everyone that stops by on this channel and watches all my videos, and I hope to see you in the next one.